The Florida Joint Center for Citizenship presents Influencing the Government. How can we, the people, influence government? How can we monitor and make sure the government is working for us? And how can we, the people, work to make change in government? These are all important questions for we, the people, to think about. We're going to explore them in this video. After watching this video, you better identify and evaluate methods used by interest groups, the media, and individuals to influence and monitor the government. You also will evaluate the impact of media, individuals, and interest groups on the government. So let's dive in. Well, before we dive too deep, there is a definition we need to know, and that is what we mean by influencing the government. To influence the government is to try to persuade or convince the government to do something. And how do we do that? Well, we do that through what we call the First Amendment, an important part of our Bill of Rights. It's important to think about the freedoms in the First Amendment. Freedoms of speech, press, peaceable assembly, and petitioning the government allow groups and individuals to influence the government. You've got to remember that the First Amendment plays a vital role in how we actually influence our government and actually make sure our government is working for us. That really is one of the most important questions we can ask. How can individuals influence the government that's supposed to serve us? Well, individual citizens can influence the government by simply doing one of their most important civic responsibilities, voting. Whether it's for a candidate or for an issue, every time a citizen votes in an election, they're influencing the government. Citizens can also attend civic meetings, especially in their local community. These meetings, such as city council meetings, provide individuals with a face-to-face opportunity with government leaders. During these meetings, individuals can influence officials by sharing their opinions about issues of concern. The right to petition the government, one of the freedoms listed in the First Amendment, means any nonviolent, legal means of encouraging or disapproving government action. And doing a petition is another way that we as individuals can influence the government. Citizens can write a petition about an issue and collect signatures in support of that issue, and present those signed petitions to government officials, hoping to influence how they make or enforce public policy. But keep in mind that petitioning the government can also mean doing things like public protest or marches. Finally, citizens, like you or I, can run for local, state, or federal office. By running for office and getting elected, individuals become part of the government and can closely influence government activities. Let's check in. Try to answer the following question in your own words. What are 4 ways that individuals can monitor the government? Voting, attending civic meetings, petitioning the government, and running for public office are all different ways that individuals like you or I can influence the government. Let's recap what we've learned so far. We know the First Amendment plays a big role in how we influence and monitor the government. And individual citizens can influence the government by voting, attending civic meetings, creating and submitting petitions, and running for public office. Remember though, we don't have to influence or monitor the government alone. Sometimes we can form what are called interest groups. Interest groups, sometimes called special interest groups, will form because they have a common goal or issue. They'll work to influence the government and other people to believe in their positions, and will try to influence the government and society through political parties or committees in Congress in order to implement their goals. One type of interest group, political action committees, or PACs, work to raise money and campaign for candidates to support their issues. They often do this by hiring lobbyists who meet with candidates and lawmakers. Lobbyists try to get lawmakers to introduce or support legislation that the PAC cares about. Lobbying is a powerful way that interest groups try to influence government officials. Interest groups also work to influence the government by educating interest group members, such as regular citizens like you and me, on issues it wants those members to support. For example, interest groups will ask their members to vote for and give money to particular candidates. Let's check in. Try to answer the following question in your own words. In what ways do interest groups work to influence the government? Interest groups work to influence the government by supporting candidates, lobbying, the creation of political action committees, and educating members on issues. Well, so far we've learned a little bit about how we influence the government. So let's recap what we've learned so far. The First Amendment is an important tool in influencing the government. And interest groups form because of a common goal and try to influence the government and people to support their issues. Political action committees, or PACs, are special interest groups who raise money and campaign for candidates. And lobbyists are used by special interest groups to get lawmakers to support legislation. But there's one more group of people that influence and monitor the government, and that's the media. Let's take a look. So we talked about how we influence the government, but how do we monitor the government? Well, an important group that monitors the government is the media. The media includes print publications such as newspaper and magazines, broadcast media such as television and radio, the internet, and social media such as Facebook and Twitter. The media uses their right of freedom of the press, protected by that wonderful First Amendment, to monitor the government. The media reports stories about public officials, give information about the government, share current events, and write opinion pieces and editorials. Through their reporting of the news, the media plays an important role in monitoring and helping us influence the government. Sometimes the media is seen as a watchdog. This means that the media is watching over the actions of government officials by reporting and sharing information with the public. All of these ways that the media monitors the government are also ways in which it influences the government. Just think about what happens when you know you're being watched. Will you do the wrong thing? Same idea here for the government. The media monitors and the media influences. Let's check in. Try to answer the following question in your own words. What are 3 ways in which the media can monitor government? There are a number of ways that the media can monitor the government. They can report about government officials, write editorials, act as a watchdog, report current events, and provide information about government actions. So what's the impact of individuals, interest groups, and the media on government, and of our ability to influence and monitor the government? Well, voting, petitioning the government, and going to meetings lets the government know what we want and that we are watching them. And running for office gives us a personal chance to change things. Interest groups give us a large way to influence and monitor the government. And the media lets us know whether the government is listening and what it's done. We, the people, have the ability to influence and monitor the government. This video is produced by the Florida Joint Center for Citizenship. Thanks for watching.